Cynthia, this mess is all because of your beat-up old car. My husband Jesse had the nerve to take my car for a joyride and crash it, yet he still has the audacity to mouth off. You better take care of me for life, you hear me? You've got to be kidding me. I know who you were with when you crashed. You're going to pay up, and pay up good. I'm Cynthia, 26 years old. I work full-time as an office clerk, and I thought I was living a blissful life with my husband Jesse, whom I married a year ago, or so I believed. Cynthia, you're coming home at this hour again. What are you thinking? This hour? It's only 9 p.m. I told you I'd be working a bit of overtime, didn't I? Is it really overtime? Don't tell me. It's only been a year since we got hitched and you're already fooling around with another man, aren't you? What are you even saying? Are you serious? I met Jesse at a singles party that a coworker of mine had organized. Jesse seemed like a really great guy, and we hit it off. We started dating with the intention of getting married soon after we met. We dated for about half a year before smoothly tying the knot. I'm the type who wants to have a fulfilling career and hobbies. Before we got married, Jesse said that was one of the things he found charming about me. I thought I had married the perfect man, always kind and understanding of my work and hobbies. You've got a weak will and you're easily swayed. I've got to keep a tight leash on a woman like you, or else you'll run off and cheat in a heartbeat. Huh? Where do you get off deciding that? All I'm doing is working hard. As soon as we got married, Jesse suddenly became extremely controlling. Every day I worked late, we'd get into a huge argument. I'd better finish work early and get home today. Even though my job is rewarding, I have to work with this weird pressure hanging over me because I don't want to fight with Jesse. And then, as if I weren't stressed enough working under these conditions, even more stress came crashing down on me. Apparently Jesse has been calling my company to check if I'm actually there. What? Why are you calling my work phone? My cell was full of missed calls. I apologized to my coworkers and picked up the phone, only for Jesse to start yelling at me right away. Why aren't you picking up? Were you out playing around with some guy instead of being at work? What are you even saying? Jesse, there's no way I can check my cell that often while I'm working. You're being totally ridiculous. Ridiculous? Cynthia, you got some nerve talking to me like that. On top of fighting at home, now he's even doing this at my workplace. I wanted him to knock it off already, but I couldn't very well continue our argument on the company phone. That day, I placated Jesse as best I could and hung up. Geez. What's gotten into Jesse since we got married? He's weirdly suspicious that I'm cheating on him. What happened to the cheerful Jesse I met? Sighing, I went back to work. I figured if I just kept my cell on my desk, I could stop Jesse from calling the office as long as I was reachable. But that was a major miscalculation on my part. Huh? It's Jesse again. Your husband is calling for you? Believe it or not, Jesse started calling my workplace every single day, multiple times a day. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about this. My coworkers seemed really fed up with it. I was becoming infamous at the office as the woman with the crazy husband. Jesse, stop calling my work. I'm at the office every day, aren't I? When I got angry at him at home, Jesse just laughed triumphantly. The fact that you're so flustered about it means you've got something to hide, doesn't it? I'll have to keep a close eye on you after all. I felt dizzy at Jesse's declaration that he'd keep calling my workplace. Just as he promised, Jesse's incessant daily calls started making it unbearable for me at the office. The people who had to transfer his calls to me did so with obvious displeasure. Some even told me directly that it was interfering with work. And finally, thank you for everything. I ended up quitting the company I had worked at since graduating. All of this was entirely Jesse's fault for calling so much. Now that you're at home all the time, it'll be easier to keep tabs on you. Jesse grinned with a carefree air about him. You're a housewife now, so you better do as I say since I'm the breadwinner. Keep the house in order, got it? Huh? What an outdated way of thinking. Exasperated with Jesse, I decided I couldn't keep dwelling on the negatives or I'd never move forward. Now that I had time on my hands, I resolved to throw myself into making accessories as a hobby. These parts are so cute. I'll make them into earrings. As soon as I started brainstorming about the thing I love to do, time flew by. At first it was hard balancing it with housework and I ended up making Jesse angry. But I gradually got the hang of it, managing the household chores while making more and more accessories. I've made so many, I want people to see them, that's it. On a whim, I posted the finished accessories on social media. They were a big hit and my follower count steadily climbed. A ton of comments were saying things like, please sell these. So I decided to dive into online retail as well. And as a result, guess what? My accessories are super popular. As soon as I launched my online store, they sold out instantly. I was so elated that I hopped up and down as I told Jesse, but his reaction was ice cold. Huh? That junky crap actually sold? I don't get what people are thinking these days. Junky crap. I put a lot of thought into the parts one use, and the designs are really elaborate. Okay. You want me to tell you how amazing you are, right, Cynthia? You're so amazing, truly amazing. Oh, forget it. When I had just met him, Jesse used to praise my accessory making to high heaven. But now, not even a full year into our marriage, he looks down on me with such disdain. In stark contrast to my sinking feelings, sales at my online accessory shop kept steadily rising. This is bringing in a lot of money. I might have to file taxes this year, huh? Even when I muttered something like that, Jesse just scoffed. Must be nice. Cynthia, you can just make whatever little thing at home and call that a job. Even though I only started a work-from-home job, turning my hobby into a business because I had to quit my office job over Jesse's calls, and I didn't want to stay depressed about that. No matter what I do, maybe Jesse just sees it all as trivial now. But I didn't have time to be discouraged. Accessory orders came pouring in. It got to the point where brick-and-mortar variety shops reached out asking to stock my accessories. Jesse may say that stuff, but this is seriously turning into something I could call a job. My days were full and satisfying, balancing household duties and the handicrafts I so adored. In the midst of all that, I got a DM on social media from someone claiming to be a department store buyer. The message turned out to be a huge sales project proposal that would use a corner of the department store. I replied that I wasn't sure I could decide based on messages alone, and could they give me some time to consider it. They sent back several earnest responses saying they felt they hadn't fully conveyed how attractive this project was, and begging me to at least meet with them for a presentation. Their enthusiasm wore me down and I agreed to have them visit and give me their pitch. The buyer was a flashy, aggressively go-getting woman named Emma, just as I had sensed from her messages. Cynthia, please let us carry your products. Apparently Emma had her eye on my accessories for quite a while. But I can only make a limited number of items per day. A pop-up store that's just open for a few days is fine too. Please. Emma made a passionate plea to win me over. However, the quantities she was proposing for delivery were quite high. I was a little unsure I could make that many, but Emma persuaded me using every trick in the book. I finally agreed to hold a 3-day pop-up store at Emma's department store. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. My boss is a fan of yours too, Cynthia. We're really looking forward to this. On the day we ultimately signed the contract, Emma came to visit my house with a subordinate in tow. Bearing a gift of expensive-looking assorted sweets, a delighted Emma thanked me repeatedly. That much was fine, but Emma was being overly flirty and fawning all over her male subordinate beside her. I'm so glad I'll have to buy something myself on the day of. Will you help me pick out what looks good on me? My girlfriend is a fan of yours too, Miss Cynthia, so I'll also be making a purchase that day. He gently dodged Emma's attempt to lean her face against his shoulder and smiled. Emma's subordinate was incredibly handsome with a gentle demeanor, which might be why Emma ended up acting so flirtatiously with him. Ugh, I didn't need to see that. Well, it's none of my business anyway. Since I've agreed to this, I'm going to make that department store pop-up a huge success. Who was that woman just now? Jesse uncharacteristically poked his head out beside me as I saw Emma and her subordinate off, seeming very interested. She's a buyer from a department store. They reached out asking me to sell there, but we're going to test the waters first with a pop-up store. A department store buyer, huh? Jesse chuckled meaningfully. I couldn't tell if he was really listening to me or not before he just up and left to go somewhere. It wasn't unusual for him to go out without a word, so I didn't think much of it at the time, but now that the pop-up store plans were set, I devoted all my free time to making accessories. I didn't want to slack on fulfilling orders for the variety shop I'd already been dealing with either, not just the department store. As I grew increasingly busy, Jesse kept making snide remarks like, "That little business of yours probably doesn't bring in much profit anyway, right?" But I was too swamped to pay him any mind. Then the weekend arrived. I have a big delivery today, so I'll have to be careful transporting it. In between my work, I planned to directly deliver to the variety shop. I wanted to get a feel for the atmosphere of the sales floor as much as possible. Carrying a cardboard box filled with delicate accessories, I headed to the parking lot of our house. There I was met with an astonishing sight. The car is gone! Why? I had been busy since early morning, juggling housework and crafting. I remembered Jesse slipping past me wordlessly and going out, but he couldn't have taken my car, could he? He should have known I needed to use the car. It seemed strange, but I called Jesse to confirm. Hey Jesse. Where are you right now? You didn't take my car, did you? When I asked Jesse, his voice sounding irritated, I heard an exaggerated sigh from the other end of the line. Yeah, I took it. What about it? We only have one car, right? What else was I supposed to use? What? Again? I told you I needed it for work today. Can't you come back right away? Obviously not. And don't call me over some trivial crap right now. Right now? What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Point is, I can't bring the car back anytime soon, so just rent one or something, okay? Tossing out that flippant remark, Jesse hung up on me unilaterally. Unbelievable. Where on earth did he go? Fuming, I rushed to the station, lugging the products I had to deliver, in order to rent a car. What an awful day. And it's all because Jesse took my car without asking. I finished delivering to the variety shop and returned home. I went ahead and prepped dinner after that, but Jesse didn't come back even as it got late. I'm home. Finally. Jesse. Did you make dinner? I don't need it today. Huh? Well, you could have told me beforehand. And my car. I tried to confront Jesse as he waltzed in late, acting all high and mighty, but he pushed past me, heading for the bathroom. Geez, pipe down. I'm using your car next weekend too, Cynthia. What? You know that car is mine, right? I've been meaning to ask, what do you use the car for every single weekend? What's it matter? We're married. Quit being so stingy about my car this, my car that. Don't you trust your husband? Stop with the pathetic interrogations, it's unsightly. Adamantly cutting me off, Jesse locked the changing room door and holed up in the bath. Come to think of it, swamped with deliveries, I had tried not to dwell on it. But ever since I quit my office job, Jesse frequently went out on weekends. He drove my car around constantly, but never said a peep about where he was going or what he was doing. If I said I wanted to go out together, he'd refuse in an oddly flustered manner. It couldn't be. Half doubt, half wanting to deny it. Not wanting to harbor these complicated feelings, I decided to install a dashboard camera in the car. I had been meaning to put one in for a while anyway, and this way I could keep track of Jesse's actions too. But if I just stuck a dashboard camera in there, Jesse might notice and delete the footage. So I bit the bullet and decided to replace the whole car navigation system with the latest model. The dashboard camera was a state-of-the-art ultra-compact one. I got a 4 Series compatible one that could be hidden behind the rearview mirror. It was cloud-enabled, so it would immediately send the data to my smartphone. I could monitor it remotely in vivid image quality. I had it installed right away at the car dealer. I tossed the dashboard camera box and left just the empty car navigation system box in a conspicuous spot in the living room. I upgraded to the newest car navigation system. Nice. But having only a cutting-edge navigation system feels kinda lame. You should go all out and swap the car for a sweet foreign model while you're at it. Then I'd look good driving it too. Why should I have to buy a new car for your vanity? I wanted to retort, but I figured it was more convenient to keep him in a good mood, so I just returned a polite smile. Then the fateful weekend arrived. The picture quality is great. Looks like he's heading to the station first. I had diligently cleared my work in advance, so while Jesse was out, I could properly monitor the dashboard camera footage via my smartphone. Jesse got into my car and made a beeline for the station. He seemed to be meeting someone there and parked the car out front. Sorry to keep you waiting, Jesse. After a while, the passenger door opened and I could tell a woman got into the car. It was a miscalculation on my part that her face wasn't clearly captured. I must have gotten the installation angle wrong. So he was meeting up with a woman after all. I had suspected, but it was still a shock. Oblivious to my despair, a cheerful conversation began inside the vehicle. Thanks for always picking me up. Isn't your wife mad? It's fine, it's fine. I'm not scared of her getting angry. Come to think of it, what kind of person is your wife, Jesse? I mean, you went out of your way to woo me, so she must be pretty plain, huh? Yeah, she's always cooped up at home doing arts and crafts. Lately, she's even calling that her job. What? Arts and crafts? How embarrassing. I can't fathom just holing up at home all day. A woman only shines when she's out there working. Totally. The reason I meet up with you every week is 'cause I feel way more refreshed being with a lively gal like you instead of my drab wife. The two's callous laughter rang out from my smartphone. The smartphone had done nothing wrong, but my anger exploded to the point I almost snapped it in half. Saying whatever the heck they want. But that woman's voice. No, I can't be totally sure from just her voice. Something about the voice of the woman laughing with Jesse in the car seemed familiar. But the dashboard camera audio alone wasn't quite enough to confirm it. Meanwhile, the car Jesse was driving pulled into a motel. The classic cheater's course. At this point, I was too flabbergasted to be shocked anymore. I watched their backs as they exited the car and walked into the hotel, but with their faces not clearly visible, I still couldn't say for certain. But with footage this far, Jesse's guilt is undeniable. The reason he suspected me of cheating so much was because he had been doing this over and over himself. I guess it's true what they say, when you have a guilty conscience, you grow more suspicious of others. For a while, there was no movement on the dashboard camera. But about an hour later, it captured Jesse emerging from the hotel. There he is! I hurriedly glued my eyes to the smartphone and scrutinized the woman walking out holding hands with Jesse. Just as I thought, it was her. It's really unfortunate, but since the person is an acquaintance, things might actually progress more smoothly. If it's come to this, I'll thoroughly corner them, including the other person. Okay, Jesse, open wide. Looks delicious. The two who came out of the hotel bought desserts at the convenience store and are enjoying a drive. Listening to the interactions of these two adults, like a high school couple, I start to feel a bit empty inside. When I left my seat to make some coffee for a change of pace, I thought I heard a loud sound from my smartphone. Hurrying back, I see that the camera footage has cut off. Huh? Why? A malfunction? Did Steve and the others notice? Well, at least I got the evidence. Taking a breath and thinking about what to do next while drinking coffee, I receive a call on my smartphone. The call is from the police, and surprisingly, they inform me that Steve has been in an accident. Shocked, I rush to the hospital they told me about. Excuse me. I heard my husband was brought here after an accident. At the hospital I visited, I was told a shocking truth. Apparently, Steve had crashed head-on into a utility pole due to distracted driving, and he was seriously injured to the point where he would never be able to stand or walk again. Before going to Steve's room, I ask if there were any passengers, and I'm told that they had suffered a mild whiplash, were treated, and left immediately. How did this happen? Unable to go straight to Steve, I hold my head in my hands on the long bench in the hallway. What should I do now? Steve's job. As I mutter to myself, I suddenly come to my senses. Wait a minute. There's no what now. He drove my car without permission, got distracted, and had an accident. It's his own fault. He's just lucky no one else was involved. Composing myself, I knock on the door to Steve's hospital room. Steve, how are you feeling? Jessica. It's the worst. What am I supposed to do now? Isn't there anything that can be done? Steve, who started making a fuss as soon as he saw my face, seems to be perfectly confused. Calm down, Steve. Don't make a scene at the hospital. But I ended up like this. Why? How? As Steve laments. Maybe it's divine retribution? I wanted to say, but holding back, I might actually be a really good person. Still, what kind of driving were you doing to cause such a major accident? According to the police, my car is a total wreck. At this point, I'm more worried about that than Jesse. But since I'm still his wife, I asked him about it, and Jesse frantically started making excuses. I was eating while driving, and I looked to the side for just a second. Huh? You need to look to the side to eat? No. I didn't look to the side. Right now, my whole body hurts and I'm just confused. I don't want to talk to you, Cynthia. Jesse gets completely flustered by my questioning. He's injured all over, and the doctor told him not to have long conversations today. I decided to wait a while before carrying out my plan, until Jesse's condition stabilizes. As a result of his injuries, it seems Jesse will never walk again, but surprisingly, once he got over the initial shock, he acted like it was no big deal. As soon as he could eat normal food again, he went back to his usual self and summoned me. "Jesse? I'm coming in." When I entered the hospital room, Jesse was sitting back in his wheelchair with a smug look. "You're late, Cynthia. Go buy me something sweet from the hospital gift shop. I'm a little hungry. And I want to read some magazines too. I can't believe how bossy you're being." I was appalled, but Jesse just shrugged like it was only natural. "Huh? I mean, I can't walk anymore, you know. Don't you feel sorry for me? You need to take the lead in taking care of me, Cynthia." "Why should I?" "Because it's your crappy old car's fault that I ended up like this. And you're my wife in the first place, so it's your duty to look after me, right?" No matter who looks at him, Jesse should be in a crisis, but he's grinning without a care in the world. "So take care of me for the rest of your life. Right? Oh yeah. Quit that measly work-from-home job and go back to your old company." Apparently, Jesse has deluded himself into thinking he can make me quit my job, do everything for him, and he can just relax and live an easy life. No wonder he didn't listen to the rehab instructions and has just been slacking off. That's not going to happen. I'll make him regret everything he's done. I put on my best shocked face and confronted Jesse. "Huh? Why don't you get Emma to take care of you instead? You prefer that flashy girl's voice over your plain wife's, don't you? Emma? Who are you talking about? What are you saying?" Jesse averts his eyes, still desperately trying to play dumb. Glaring at him with a scary expression, I make it clear to Jesse that he can't talk his way out of this. "I installed a dashcam and saw everything. You can't escape now." "A dashcam? You installed one without permission and watched? That's an invasion of privacy. I can install whatever I want in my own car, and you have no right to complain. And I don't want to hear about privacy from a cheating husband." Jesse's mouth moves without making a sound, apparently at a loss for a rebuttal. I unleashed all my pent-up anger at him. "Seriously, you always act so high and mighty, but what have you done? You took my car on a date with your mistress, got in an accident and totaled it. How much trouble are you going to cause me before you're satisfied? I'm prepared to sue both you and that woman." "Sue me? When I'm in this condition? Have you no pity?" "I can only see it as you reaping what you've sown." Hearing my words, Jesse turns deathly pale. Pushing my pathetic husband's wheelchair, I left the hospital room. "What the heck? Where are you taking me?" "To settle this once and for all. Don't worry, I got permission for you to leave." I brought an anxious-looking Jesse to the department store where Emma works. Even though we took a taxi from the hospital, getting here was quite an ordeal. Jesse stares blankly, confronted with the reality that his legs don't work. Exasperated with my husband who's finally facing reality, I had the department store reception call for Emma. Emma, who arrives with a male subordinate, is wearing a neck brace. Just as I heard, the woman who was taken to the hospital with Jesse was Emma, and she got off with whiplash. Sure enough, Jesse's affair partner is Emma. Perhaps unaware that she was having an affair with my husband, Emma approaches me with a smile. "Cynthia, I was so surprised to get your message about scrapping the pop-up store plans. There must be some kind of mistake, right? Wait, Jesse? What are you doing here?" She seems to have only noticed Jesse sitting in the wheelchair I'm pushing with vacant eyes once she got close. "Don't tell me you followed me here?" It's tough being a woman so popular. Unable to grasp the situation, Emma still doesn't forget to make eyes at her male subordinate to show off her popularity, even at a time like this. I smiled sweetly at her. Emma, let me introduce myself again. I'm Cynthia, Jesse's wife. What? I heard you were in an accident and got whiplash on your way back from a motel with my husband, so I came to see how you were doing. Are you okay? Emma still has a smile plastered on her face, but as she slowly starts to understand the situation, cold sweat begins running down her face. You're Jesse's wife. So when you said you wanted to scrap the pop-up store plans? Yes, because I don't want to work with my husband's mistress. Hearing my words, Emma collapses to the floor. That's not true, Cynthia. Jesse came on to me unilaterally, and I just got seduced, huh? When I glare at him out of the corner of my eye, Jesse looks up at me with a serious expression, even though his face is pale. The day Emma came to the house, I thought she seemed like an easy woman to seduce. So I followed her and made a move. I was never serious about Emma at all. It was just a fling. That doesn't matter, does it? Affair is an affair, whether it's a fling or serious. When I shouted at him, Jesse shut his mouth again. A fling? That's my line. Cynthia, listen to me. I didn't even know Jesse was married. I'm a victim too. Emma, didn't you say earlier that you knew Jesse was married? Unfortunately, I have all the evidence, so don't bother making excuses now. Should I show you right here? I calmly confront Emma, who's trying to make excuses just like Jesse. Emma's male subordinate looks at her sitting on the floor with disgust. So you were having an affair in your private life, Emma? And of all people, with Cynthia's husband. That's not true. Don't misunderstand. Emma stands up as if in desperation upon hearing his words. As I thought, it seems she had her eye on her handsome junior colleague. Like I said before, Jesse was just a fling. I really didn't know he was Cynthia's husband. It's just that having affairs with married men is my hobby because it's an easy way to feel superior and have fun. That makes no difference. Emma, you're the worst kind of person. Wait. How am I the worst? You just hate that I'm popular with men? I hated everything, the way you act so self-absorbed, the way you pretend to be a catch and touch me. All of it. What? I will make sure to properly report to my boss the real reason why Cynthia is trying to clean up the pop-up store. Emma's male subordinate tries to leave, avoiding Emma, who's clinging to him. And one more thing. He turns back and says, I was already preparing to report Emma for being too handsy at work. And you've been harassing my girlfriend too, right? What? No. I wouldn't harass anyone. I know everything. Be prepared for what's coming. Emma collapses to the floor again and this time starts sobbing with her face down. She doesn't care that customers are walking by. My love life and career are both over. Hold on. Emma, didn't you always say you were crazy about me? Jesse, who had been sitting in his wheelchair absent-mindedly watching things unfold, yells at Emma as if he can't let that comment slide. Oh, shut up! You seriously thought you'd be chosen over a young hot guy? Give me a break. And you thought a hot younger guy with a girlfriend would go for you, Emma? I did. That's why I was working on a plan to get rid of his pesky girlfriend. And now it's all ruined. What are you going to do about it? I don't think I've ever seen two people who embody "you reap what you sow" more perfectly. I could see department store security guards rushing over from behind the two of them shouting at each other. Not wanting to get caught up in any more trouble, I tried to quietly leave Jesse's side.
Cynthia! Wait! I can't get home by myself. I need you to take care of me after all.
Noticing me trying to slip away, Jesse desperately reaches out to me.
You've got to be kidding. Don't try to backpedal now that it's convenient for you.
When I slapped his hand away, Jesse shamelessly made a hurt expression. I spoke to him matter-of-factly, making sure he heard me.
You know, if you had cherished me like you did when we first met, I'm sure I would have taken care of you for life, even if you couldn't walk or get up.
Cynthia. Having said what I wanted to say, I felt a bit relieved and was able to give Jesse one last smile.
Goodbye. Forever.
Leaving behind a wailing Emma and a crestfallen Jesse, I exited the department store. Afterwards, Jesse was ordered to pay me alimony and compensation for the car. To be honest, my accessory business is starting to take off, so I didn't really care either way. But seeing Jesse maintaining his arrogant attitude until the very end, I decided to claim everything I was owed. Maybe because he's unable to work properly and is now forced to live with a disability, Jesse frequently tried to contact me right after we separated. However, after I had my lawyer give him a warning, the contact stopped completely. I hope he's reflecting on having to pay the price for trying to take away my freedom. Whether he's actually reflecting or not, it seems a desperate Jesse is trying to sue Emma, making accusations like she interfered with his driving and caused him to end up like this. Not to be outdone, Emma is apparently countersuing Jesse, saying he hindered her love life and career advancement. Emma also lost her position as a department store buyer and was demoted to organizing a warehouse in the countryside. On top of having to pay me a hefty sum in alimony, she's waiting to be pressured to resign, so she must be desperate. The two of them blaming each other are likely in for a long feud. In any case, regardless of whether they actually end up suing, I feel sorry for the lawyers who will have to deal with this farcical duo that brought it on themselves. As for me, my work is going even better than before, despite getting a divorce from Jesse. After that incident, it was decided that Emma's subordinate would take over the pop-up store at the department store. On the day of the event, I was able to stylishly display my handmade accessories that I poured my heart into in a fairly large space. It ended in great success. The male subordinate happily married his girlfriend. His wife is a fan of my accessories and ordered some for their wedding. After she posted wedding photos on social media showing my accessories paired with her wedding dress and colored dresses, I've been getting non-stop inquiries. I'm now working hard studying and sourcing materials to further enhance my wedding accessory lineup. My own marriage may have failed, but I never imagined things would turn out like this. If I hadn't married Jesse, I probably never would have thought to turn accessory making into a business. In that sense, I guess you could say my marriage was a success. If you include the marriage and the subsequent divorce, that is. These days my life revolves around work. I'm always busy driving around in the larger van I bought to replace my wrecked car, delivering orders and buying supplies.